Welcome back to RPTV Weekly News Show. My name is Ryan, and my co-hosts are Dylan, Fred, Kedar,
Jabin, and Victoria.
We present news that impacts on Regent Park and surrounding areas. In this episode, we present the following news for the week of March 29th to April 3rd, 2023. City of Toronto presents Moss Park improvements and park concept options in open house. Community discussion on March 21st. Toronto police officers meet with Regent Park Community on March 27th. Regent Park celebrates Ramadan 2023 with cultural bazaar at Daniels Spectrum. Healing as One hosts chess tournaments in Regent Park. Fred Victor, along with partner organizations, will operate new 24-hour drop-in and support service site for vulnerable women at 233 Carlton Street. Toronto Public Health releases 2022 data from deaths of people experiencing homelessness. Toronto Community Housing provides update on progress towards the Confronting Anti-Black Racism Strategy's key outcomes during 2022. Toronto cop charged with drinking and driving near Shuter and Parliament Streets. Man stabbed after altercation at Allan Gardens Conservatory. COVID-19 vaccine update. Events and jobs in the community.
City of Toronto presents Moss Park improvements and park concept options in open house community discussions on March 21st, 2023. City of Toronto, along with the Planning Partnership, Two Row Architect, and SAFI held a virtual community meeting on March 21st with Moss Park residents to present key updates about the park improvements and engage the community to discuss 3 design concept options for the park and collect their feedback. The open house was moderated by Casey Hinton, design strategist and engagement at SAFI. The event started with land acknowledgement and opening remarks by Chris Moyes, City Councillor for Toronto Centre Ward 13.
Thank you. I just want to really acknowledge staff for their hard work and dedication to this project. And thank you to all the residents who are here tonight, this afternoon, to participate and learn along with me. You already have a slide up. I guess I jumped the gun. My apologies.
Quite all right.
But yeah. Okay, you're on the ball as usual. But just wanted to say that I actually was debriefed on this project, or this what you're going to be showing today, about 2 months ago. And I was really excited to see what staff had brought forth. And so I'm equally excited to hear what the residents have to say about this project and, give their feedback and advice. And hopefully, we'll have something wonderful at the end of all of this. So thank you so much to staff again.
After opening remarks, Casey introduced the project team, project background, and timeline, and the key project components focused on the park improvements. The construction of the Moss Park Community Recreation Centre will begin on the summer of 2024 until the fall of 2027. And from the spring 2027 to fall 2029 will be the park construction.
And now we're here in early design ideas. So we've crunched what we've heard, we've captured all the wonderful feedback and input, and have put together some concept options to share with you that we hope reflect that vision, and that's what we want to hear your feedback on. And following today and this phase of engagement, we'll talk to more folks, we'll crunch some more, and we'll kind of narrow down to that preferred design option for the park before we get into those construction phases later in 2024 and beyond.
David Leinster from the Planning Partnership and Eric Skouris from Two Row Architect presented the project vision and principles, including the fixed components of the park plan, basis of the park concept with integrated public art, and tree strategy.
And I did want to talk about trees in the park. We know that this is really has been a kind of devastating winter in many ways for the park, with the removal of all those trees along Queen Street. It's had quite an impact on the character of the park, and certainly a sad moment for the neighborhood. We are looking at a restoration strategy, and I will get into that with the 3 different schemes. But I did want to give you a summary of some of the numbers. We've removed, or Metrolinx, I should say, has removed 63 trees from that corridor. That's where the station is going to go, as well as their staging area. We are going to be removing an additional 25 trees for the community center itself. You can see those trees in blue around that blue box. There's a few additional trees that are going to be removed in front of the arena on Sherburne to provide for a driving and drop-off area, a kind of a driveway drop-off area right in front of the building there for the arena. And all of the green trees you see on this plan are going to be preserved through the construction period and form a very important part of the new park plan. I did want to demonstrate here the condition of the trees of the park. We did an arborist assessment last summer and determined the health of different trees. You can see that the trees along the north edge along Shuter are some of the best trees in the park, and so we certainly want to make sure that those are well protected and have many years of life ahead of them. There's some fair trees in that collection too, so we'll be keeping a close eye on those, and of course the poor trees will be removed through this process. And I did want to touch on something I think some of you may be interested in, and that is the split of native versus non-native trees. And of course, we would, in a park like this, leave all the mature trees, whether they were native or non-natives, and we are doing that. But in the restoration of the park, and actually maybe I'll back up for a moment, there are about 28% of the trees before the Metrolinx trees were removed. 28% of those trees were native. Similar percentage down to about 20 or up to about 23% when the trees at the south edge end were removed. So that left a very small, essentially a very small group of native trees in the park. And we want to change that paradigm so that most of the new trees in the park are native trees that attract the birds and native fauna of this area, and of course leaving the non-native species as they are today. And I'll show you how we're going to achieve that in the park plan. We're also looking at a tree strategy that includes several components. One is a growth rate stratification, and by that we mean we're going to be planting trees that are very fast growing, other trees that are slower growing and longer lived, to ensure that we get a canopy in the park very quickly within the first 5 years of its construction. As you can see in that lower right-hand corner, that's looking at Sherburne, or I should say Sugar Beach down at the waterfront that we were involved with. That had complete canopy closure of that LA within 5 years. We're also going to plant some large trees to bring back an immediate impact of the tree canopy in the areas of the park where they've been removed. And then we're going to ensure that all of these trees have a lot of soil to grow in so that they can maintain their health over time.
The presentation included 3 concept plans for the park. 1, the grid. 2, the creek. 3, the meander.
Now we're going to walk you through the concept plans, beginning with option 1 that we've called the grid. And the grid takes its inspiration from the street and block plan of the Garden District. So in a way, this is referencing that era of history in terms of in terms of its layout. This is the most formal of the 3 plans that we're going to show you. You get a sense of that formality in the kind of the straight lines of the plan.
Yeah, though this plan's very formal, we still feel it's really successful. I was having a conversation with my colleague Matt, and we were talking about the 7 grandfather teachings. And in particular, I think the scheme relates to the idea of humility and respect. I think it abides by the existing city connections, access and grid. I think there's some really great connections to Pembroke Street that relate to north to south. So it's a really efficient scheme. And to add to that, all the indigenous species and plantings, things like the permanent sacred fire, the big lawn that can be used for ceremony, these are all really great options that we're happy to go forward.
The second concept we've called the creek. And the creek takes its inspiration, you may have guessed, from the buried creek that Eric described earlier, and its alignment that bisects the park diagonally from the northwest corner to the southeast corner. And this we think is interesting because it will then connect George Street with a new transit plaza. We imagine that this new major circulation route in the park will be lined with gardens, plantings, and topography that recall the valley and creek feature that once was a characteristic of this part of the city. Now I'm going to let Eric rather, add a few words.
Thanks, David. Yeah, this scheme is really exciting. I think it's fantastic that we're paying homage to the buried Moss Creek, which conveniently runs almost diagonally across the park. There are really great ways that we can pay homage to that, whether that's through change in materiality to reference its natural course, or if that's public art. But there could be a way to use didactic panels to sort of educate the public about the history of the site. Also, to add to that is the idea of travel. This was once an old portage route, and it was used for travel for many years to get to Lake Ontario. So we think that's really interesting that the public will now use that path again, but to enter a new modern mode of transit, which is the TTC. So we think that's a really interesting connection to make.
And then this final concept we're calling the meander, which in our mind is a kind of combination of the first scheme as well as the second scheme. And I'll describe why. In terms of its, obviously, in terms of its organic forms, it's very much like the creek. But you'll see here that the cross diagonal of the creek alignment itself isn't as obvious in this scheme. This scheme references more the valley itself, so that we'd use topography and the plantings to recall the valley feature. But unlike the diagonal of the previous scheme, these are the connections through this scheme tend to be more north-south, connecting in a more a direct way between Shuter and Queen Street. Now, Eric, would you like to say a few words about this one?
Absolutely. Yeah, the scheme's really exciting. The idea of earth mounds and keeping that earth on the site, which occupies this day, is really poetic and beautiful. The form's really organic. We really love that relaxed approach. And the idea of planting on this site, like this, I believe this option plants the most trees, which we'll get to soon. So that's always a great thing to hear.
Donna Hind from the Planning Partnership moderated a community discussion about park circulation, play facilities, community garden areas, seating, and sports courts. Finally, the project team ended the presentation with a discussion about the next steps.
Toronto police officers meeting with Regent Park Community on March 27, 2023. Toronto police officers from 51 Division held its quarterly community meeting with Regent Park residents on March 27, 2023 at 150 River Street to discuss neighborhood policing, youth engagement, crime statistics, and trends, police community projects, crime prevention, avoiding scams and fraudsters, and other community concerns. The discussion was moderated by Sergeant Henry Dyke, Neighborhood Community Officer Supervisor, City Councillor for Toronto Centre Ward 13, Chris Moyse, and TCHC Supervisor of Revitalization and Renewal Communities, Shane Bourne, were also present at the meeting.
So far for this year, and for the whole of last year, in every category, crime is down in Regent Park. And I also say, in addition to that, that we've not had, again, knock on wood, we've not had a shooting in Regent Park so far this year. So for us, this is great, because I mean you have all been there with me, standing over across the street after January the 1st, when the first homicide of the year was here in Regent Park, right? So far this year, we've not had a shooting even, let alone a homicide in Regent Park. So for us, this is, yeah, thank you. Well, it's not just us, but it's not just us, but that's good news for all of us. So hopefully we continue on that trend. But just to say, the picture from last year and the picture so far this year, although there's lots of work to be done, there's always going to be lots of work to be done, but the picture so far this year has been pretty rosy.
Well, thank you to our neighborhood officers. You know, they do great work. You know, I meet with the superintendent of 51 on a monthly basis. You know, he comes to my office, we sit one-on-one and go through all the stats and what's happening. So it's nice to hear that it's being shared here today. Some of it is being shared here today. I know we have many challenges in this ward, you know, in our community, but you know, together, you know, we're working on it. We're working diligently in my office to address many of these issues. I sit at many tables at council. You know, again, I'm the chair of Toronto Public Health. So a lot of the issues and problems that we have here today is around mental health and addiction, which I actually have experience in, coming from the hospital side. I worked at St. Mike's Hospital for 22 years in emergency. So that's my area of expertise. So I bring that skill set to the Toronto Board of Health, among other things. So this is Yusuf, who works in my office. He's also, a Regent Park resident. He knows the community well and the issues that that affects us all here. So if you have any issues or problems, reach out to him directly. He has his cards with him, I'm sure. And we're here to assist and work with you in any capacity.
Regent Park celebrates Ramadan 2023 with Cultural Bazaar at the Daniels Spectrum. On Monday, March the 20th, Happy Mom and Happy Children's Group, as well as the Regent Park Community, celebrated the month of Ramadan by hosting the Ramadan Bazaar at Daniels Spectrum at 585 Dundas Street East. The celebration included hot drinks, refreshments, storytelling, henna, face painting, and many local vendors from the Regent Park community, as well as lots of prizes and raffles to be won.
My name is Kedar Ahmed, and I'm here with RPTV News. And over here, I have with me...
Hi, I'm Rabia. My name is Rabia Al-Sabai, and I am a Regent Park resident. I have been in this community about 9 years, I guess.
And Rabia, what is Ramadan Bazaar?
Ramadan Bazaar, it's where people get together. This is Muslim families, they have it. In Muslim countries, they usually, before Ramadan, they set up a market where people come and they sell their stuff and they have food and vendors, so people prepare for Ramadan. They buy accessories, they buy new kitchen stuff. Some people, they even they go up to buying furniture. So it's all about the budget. So it's a traditional way that back home we do in Muslim countries. I'm originally from Libya, so Libya is a Muslim country, an Arabic country as well in Africa. So usually majority of all of those Muslim countries, they have the same, I believe. And so I just thought about maybe it's a good opportunity for people to come out, especially we have a good number of people. They are Muslims, they live in this community. So I just came up with this actually last week. It was last minute. So I said that we're going to bring this together and bring vendors to come out and sell some stuff, and people can get connected, and also residents as well. So yeah, and as you can see, it's really crowded. I'm so glad that I came up with this.
So my name is Leah Wolder-Georges. I'm currently a community support worker. I work at Neighborhood Information Post in the Regent Park, Moss Park community. So the Ramadan Bazaar is a bazaar to celebrate Ramadan, and it is very important in a community like Regent Park, as there is a lot of individuals who do celebrate Ramadan. It is part of their religion to celebrate Ramadan and Eid. So it is very important in a multicultural and multi-ethnic and a community with a lot of different diverse religions to celebrate Ramadan and actually teach the importance of Ramadan and actually acknowledge it and just educate everybody and bring awareness to Ramadan, what it entails, what the Ramadan includes, what Ramadan is as a religion, and why it's so important to celebrate Ramadan. So hopefully during this Ramadan Bazaar, there's a lot of people are gonna learn more about Ramadan, so we can, respect each other's religion, respect each other's cultures, and just, appreciate the fact that Ramadan is a very, very important celebration.
Hi everyone, my name is Humaira, back on the channel again.
Hi everyone, my name is Sarah.
And Humaira and Sarah, I want to ask you guys, what does Ramadan mean to you?
Okay. To me, Ramadan means connecting and purifying our souls and basically having a reset for those 30 days. And yeah, that's basically what Ramadan means to me, purifying my soul.
Yeah, no, I would totally agree with Sarah. I feel like Ramadan is a time to really reconnect with who you really are. I feel like throughout the year, there are so many moments in which sometimes you occupy yourself in school and work, like I know I do. But Ramadan is a time where I really take the time and the due diligence to read Quran a little bit more, pray on time. So all of that good vibes and reconnect with who I really am, like Sarah said. Yeah.
I completely agree, and both of you guys gave amazing answers. Now, why do you feel that a Ramadan Bazaar here in the Regent Park community is important?
I feel like it's very important because the Regent Park community does have a large population of Muslim people, and there are also non-Muslims who live here, and for us to basically live cohesively, I guess, it's good to have things like this so that other people are aware of what it's really about, and yeah.
Again, backing that again, Sarah just hitting us some great points, but again, it's like to always support and shop locally. I feel like Ramadan Bazaar, especially in Regent Park, it gives back to like mothers who want to be able to support and provide for their family during the long month of Ramadan. Sometimes it's not as easy to work. So just pre-Ramadan, it's so important to like be able to put some money in your pockets to support the long month ahead, I guess, yeah.
Thank you, ladies, so much for your time, and enjoy the rest of this beautiful afternoon. Thank you.
Helion as One hosts chess tournament in Regent Park. On March 16, 2023, Regent Park's Helion as One hosted their first ever chess tournament at Daniels Spectrum. There were prizes for the top 3 places. The chess tournament was open for everyone in the community.
First person is out. So now we have Ibrahim advancing to the next round, and we have Buna out of here. That's all I have to say. Woo! Woo!
This opening is called the London opening. Check again.
Fred Victor Mission, along with partner organizations, will operate new 24-hour drop-in support service site for vulnerable women at 233 Carlton Street. The city has leased the property at 233 Carlton Street as the relocation site for Adelaide's Women Resource Centre. Construction is ongoing and is expected to be completed early 2024. 233 Carlton Street is expected to replace the existing Adelaide Resource Centre for Women, 67 Adelaide Street East. The site will focus on providing 24-hour drop-in and support services along with emergency beds for 35 vulnerable women who are at risk of gender-based violence and experiencing homelessness. Additional project partners may be brought on board once the service is moved to 233 Carlton Street, based on client and service need. Fred Victor currently runs the women's 24-hour drop-in service that includes the emergency overnight spaces. The current partner organizations that deliver other services at 67 Adelaide include Street Haven, University Health Network, Centre for Addiction and Mental Health, and Regent Park Community Health Centre. It's now scheduled to open early 2024. For updates, check the city's website.
Toronto Public Health releases 2022 data for deaths of people experiencing homelessness. On March 17th, Toronto Public Health released data related to the deaths of people experiencing homelessness in 2022. Overall, homelessness continues to negatively impact health outcomes of individuals, resulting in 187 reported deaths in 2022. This total is lower than the 223 deaths reported in 2021, but remains higher than the 128 deaths reported before the COVID-19 pandemic in 2019. People experiencing homelessness are at increased risk of dying prematurely. The median age of death of people experiencing homelessness in 2022 was 55 years of age for male and 42 years of age for females. For comparison, the median age for general population in Toronto is 79 years of age for males and 84 years of age for females. Drug toxicity is the leading cause of death for people experiencing homelessness in Toronto in 2022. Resulting in approximately half, or 47%, of reported deaths in this population. The other leading causes of deaths for people experiencing homelessness include cardiovascular disease at 10%, cancer at 5%, unintentional injury at 4%, and suicide at 3%. Data is collected from 3 primary sources: participating agencies who serve the homeless and underhoused communities, the City of Toronto's Shelter Support and Housing Administration, SSHA division, reports submitted by the Toronto Homeless Memorial. A decrease in overdose deaths has been observed since 2021. This may be in part due to the harm reduction measures implemented in the city's shelter systems, as well as other factors including the unpredictable nature of the unregulated drug supply and lack of access to safe supply. This is consistent with data from the Ontario Office of the Chief Coroner that also indicates a reduction in opioid overdose deaths in homelessness service settings.
Toronto Community Housing provides update on progress towards Confronting Anti-Black Racism Strategy's key outcome during 2022. On March 21st, 2023, Toronto Community Housing, TCHC, provided updates on the success of efforts to achieve the Confronting Anti-Black Racism, CABR, strategy in 2022. CABR strategy captures the changes needed to systematically address anti-Black racism across TCHC, both as an employer and as a social housing provider, and measure success in making that change. In 2022, the Centre for Advancing the Interests of Black People, the Centre, intentionally laid the foundation and took corrective action toward addressing the historical and ongoing harms of anti-Black racism at the TCHC. The Centre focused on fostering relationships with external and internal stakeholders so they can generate more awareness about the Centre's function and increase the organization's capacity to dismantle anti-Black racism. Barry Thomas was appointed as the new Centre Director in December 2022. By the end of its first year, the Centre has achieved a number of important milestones. These and other achievements and the reactions of TCHC staff were captured in a year-end summary video created to bring the CABR strategy to life in more detail.
Being born in South Africa doesn't give you a choice about understanding where you fall in your race. 2,000 rules and 2,000 regulations about where people can go at any given time based on the color of their skin. I don't see that I made a choice to be an anti-racist. I didn't have a choice about being an anti-racist.
Our Confronting Anti-Black Racism Strategy captures the changes we need to make to systemically address anti-Black racism across TCHC, both as an employer and a social housing provider. The CABR strategy is aligned to 8 broad outcomes that need to be realized to successfully confront anti-Black racism in social housing. If we're making progress in these areas, that shows us that we're having an impact in confronting anti-Black racism. The Centre is so incredibly important because it's our connection into the organization. It's an integral part of the corporation and how we not only look at the processes that we need to adjust, but how we systemically analyze the areas that we need to focus in.
When George Floyd happened and there was a complete, not just American, Canadian, but global awakening that, oh my God, we thought all this stuff had gone away. All of this coming to the reality that we needed in Toronto community housing to be a lot more prepared and a lot more proactive about dealing with racism.
This is about a cultural change that we'll continually invest in, and that it's not going to be done in a short period of time. This is about us growing and changing the culture of the organization.
Having a place to raise your children, having a place to feel safe, having people invest in and being respectful of your culture and your values is all important in order to thrive in your community, but also thrive as a tenant. Decent and fair housing is just having the equitable allocation of resources to ensure that all tenants could live and thrive in their units. When we look at the different areas across the city, the resources that are allocated to particular communities are not equal. We focused on taking the time to listen and hearing what tenants have shared around their household and their household needs. Looking at taking an approach where we're actually figuring out and thinking about what are some of the alarming issues that are consistently coming up and being shared through the tenant experience, and how are we actually addressing that?
An environment that fosters that safety and support That's what is a healthy environment for children and families. Programming helps to provide some structure, creating places for young people in particular to practice the things that they're learning. We are incorporating an anti-Black racism lens by listening to our tenants and the kinds of things that they're interested in. We have programs where we partner with TESS and with other agencies. Most of them are within TCHC, and respond to police, the narrative around police and race-based data collection. So having young people who could bring a critical youth lens, a critical racialized lens to how police are enforcing and collecting data. And through this partnership, over 12 weeks, the young people were able to discuss what it means to them, learn some more about what it means on the other side. And then those same young people then met with the incoming Chief Myron Demke to discuss what do his tactics, the tactics that are being employed by his officers mean in their communities. They see this individual and his staff taking notes down and saying, that's a good idea. We see how we can incorporate it. So I think it was a very validating and fulfilling experience. We're creating leaders amongst our young people, so they start to see themselves differently. They start to see themselves as people who have value and have something to contribute. And then when they go back into their community, they carry themselves differently.
There's a general sort of reverberating impact that happens to the community when someone is shot or when someone is stabbed or when there are questions of safety. So what we wanted to do from the center lens was understand how do we come in and create a toolkit that has an anti-Black racism lens involved or incorporated in it, because within these communities, the Black experience isn't monolithic. The impact is that the community actually gets somewhat of a say in terms of how they want to be treated and what they think is important after an incident happens. By involving them in this process, it's helping them to be in the driver's seat to give us targeted information in terms of what do we need. It's just allowing them to directly speak to the corporation to tell us this is what we need in this circumstance, and it will be much better received.
I am one of the co-chairs of the Black South Caucus. There's deeply rooted things that have occurred for generations, and when we have the ability to not only explain, not only see, not only unpack and unearth these deeply rooted things that have occurred, we get the opportunity to move forward in a way that is a bit more meaningful, a bit more engaged. It's about allowing for a particular group of folks to have resources and mechanisms available to them to support them actualizing the fullness of themselves, both staff and tenant. I think for us, the Black South Caucus, the sky's is really the limit. There's no end to the creativity. My hope is that that ultimately helps to build a better community, to build a better Toronto community housing, just to build a better city.
There's not a finite amount of opportunities. There's not a finite amount of spaces, seats. There's not a finite amount of anything. The more different people and different opinions you welcome into a space, the richer that space becomes. You get to experience things that never existed in that space before.
We need to create every opportunity for the next generation to have as many opportunities as possible. These are some of the most talented individuals that I've come to know. They're not accepting of where we are now. What they're looking for us to do is improve. And when we have that sort of momentum coming from our next generation and our youth, that's going to continue to push us to new heights.
Toronto cop charged with drinking and driving near Shuter and Parliament Street. A 14-year Toronto police veteran has been charged with impaired driving, the service announced Monday, March 20th in a press release. The officer, Constable Michael Juma, 49, is alleged to have been half-duty in his own vehicle in the early hours of Monday morning when he struck a parked vehicle near Shuter and Parliament Street, the release said. The driver continued south on Parliament Street, police said, and at first did not stop for a fellow officer who tried to pull him over. The release alleges, eventually the vehicle came to a stop at King and Sumac Street, about a kilometer away from the area of the parked car. Juma was arrested, and police said he refused to provide a breath sample. He was charged with impaired driving, dangerous driving, failing to remain at the scene of an incident, failing to stop for police, as well as refusing to provide a breath sample. There were no injuries to any persons reported. According to the press release, Juma was assigned to the Police Operations Center of Duty Desk, which involves more administrative work and does not require him to respond to emergency calls or conduct neighborhood policing. Juma is now under suspension but will continue to receive pay. The Police Act only allows an officer's pay to be suspended if they are convicted of a crime and sentenced to prison in time.
Man stabbed after altercation at Allan Gardens Conservatory. A suspect has been located and arrested following a stabbing at the downtown Allan Gardens Conservatory on Monday, March 20th, according to Toronto Police. Officers responded to reports of an altercation and a person being stabbed in the Botanical Garden just after 4:30 p.m. on Monday, March 20th, police said. The incident happened at the foot of the statue of Reverend Ravi Burns in the east end of the park at Carlton and Chevron Streets. The victim, a man in his 50s, was transported to hospital after being treated by paramedics, said Constable Laura Brabant, a spokesperson for Toronto Police. Brabant said although the extent of the victim's injuries are unknown, police were not informed that they were life-threatening. Police said no other injuries were reported. A motive for the stabbing was unavailable.
COVID-19 vaccination update. Did you get a winter COVID-19 booster yet? The bivalent vaccine is now available for all residents 5+ and recommended for everyone who didn't receive a booster in 2022. Book an appointment at toronto.ca/COVID-19 or a mobile clinic near you. Bivalent boosters target the original COVID-19 virus and the Omicron variants. They provide better protection from becoming very sick with COVID-19 and provide stronger protection against Omicron variants. You can get boosted at least 6 months after your last COVID-19 dose or infection, or at least 3 months if at high risk or of severe illness from COVID-19. Vaccination and wellness clinics in the neighborhood. Wellness clinic at 200 Wellesley Street East, the corner, Tuesdays from 1:30 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. and Saturdays from 10 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. Walk-ins welcome. COVID-19 and flu vaccines, cancer screenings, blood pressure and sugar, cholesterol checks, mental health help, and family doctor referrals. If you have questions, please call 416-347-0943. Cold, flu, COVID-19 testing and treatment clinic at 40 Oak Street, Regent Park, CHC, Wednesday, 3 to 6 p.m. and Thursdays from 1 p.m. to 6 p.m. Cancer screenings, diabetes and BP checks, dentistry, physiotherapy, naloxone kits, blood pressure treatment, and more. Wellness Hub at 40 Oak Street, Regent Park, CHC, for people with cold-like symptoms, cold, flu, and COVID testing and treatment clinic on Wednesdays from 3 to 6 p.m., Thursdays from 1 to 6 p.m., and Saturdays from 9:30 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. Appointments recommended, walk-ins accepted. Vaccine clinic at 519. Access your COVID-19 and flu vaccines at the Low Barrier Drop-In Clinic. Come see us on the 3rd floor, first come, first served on Wednesdays from 3 to 6 p.m. Moderna and Pfizer available, 4th dose and bivalent boosters available for those eligible. For more information, contact community@the519.org.
Events and jobs in Regent Park. Regent Park United Soccer Club Football for All fundraiser and money tournament. When? Sunday, April 9th, 500 entry free, 1,000 cash prize. 4 games minimum, 20 minutes games. This event will take place at Paulson Pier at 176 Cherry Street from 2 to 8 p.m. For more information, contact orvillereynolds@gmail.com.
Ramadan Iftar 2023. Free meals from the Regent Park Catering Collective. Come join each Wednesday from March 29th to April 18th from 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. at Daniels Spectrum, 585 Dundas Street East. Free meals from the Regent Park Catering Collective.
Spotlight Report. Regent Park, the building blocks of inclusive communities. Join the Daniels Corporation in collaboration with the World Urban Pavilion in Regent Park and the SDP Pavilion Work Group for a community shareback session as Daniels presents their recent Spotlight Report. This event will take place on April 4th, 2023 from 6 to 9 p.m. at the World Urban Pavilion in Regent Park, 660 Dundas Street East, 3rd floor.
Jobs and opportunities in the community. The Regent Park Film Festival is now accepting submissions for their 21st annual festival. Submit films across all genres to the general program or the school program. Features, shorts, documentaries, animations, and more are welcome. If your film features and/or is created by Black, Indigenous, or people of color communities, low-income communities, or other underrepresented communities, submit to RPFF. There are no submission fees. RPFF is always free and accessible. Deadline, Sunday, May 21st, 2023, 11:59 p.m.
Regent Park Film Festival is hiring 5 positions. If you're excited to work in the arts and have a passion for community building, apply to join the 2023 team. Visit the link below for all the details. Deadline to apply is Sunday, April 2nd, 11:59 p.m. Regent Park Film Festival is looking for marketing and outreach coordinator, program coordinator, operations and volunteers coordinator, graphic designer, and manager of programming.
Fred Victor's Taste of Regent Park 2023 is seeking caterers, food vendors, and performing artists from Regent Park and surrounding communities. Caterers info session is Wednesday, April 5th from 2 to 3 p.m. Vendors info session Wednesday, May 3rd and Friday, May 12th from 3 p.m. to 4:30 p.m. The in-person location is 40 Oak Street. If you are interested but are not available to attend either dates for caterers or vendors, please email to ifra@fredvictor.org.
The Cabbagetown Festival is looking for performers to appear on the Parliament in Carlton during its 2-day event, Saturday, September 9th from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. and Sunday, September 10th from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. Musicians, singers, dancers, performance artists, circus artists, and more. Send in the application before May 31st. Let's hope that the Cabbagetown BIA uses its own motto, Shop Local, when deciding the final list of performers. Both the Cabbagetown Festival and the Cabbagetown Art and Crafts have also issued calls for vendors and artists for their event, Friday, September 8th to Sunday, September 10th.
Apply for the Community Safety's Unit Youth Cadet Program. The Cadet Program is a 12-month paid program focused on giving youth the insights and work experience in community engagement and law enforcement. Who can apply? A youth between the ages of 18 to 25, a resident of Ontario preference, will be given to candidates who live in a TCHC community. A passion to learn more about the social housing sector, able to commit for the duration of the program. You can apply visiting torontohousing.ca/careers to search jobs and apply online. The last day to apply is Tuesday, April 4th, 2023.
The City of Toronto's Identifying Impact Youth Grant Program is now open. Do you have passion for improving your community? Are you a youth lead group ages 15 to 29 with a great idea that needs funding? Consider applying for a grant to help make an impact in your community. Deadline to apply is May 2nd, 2023 at 12 p.m. Funds available up to $17,000 per project. Apply now.
Calling all small business owners in Regent Park. Are you a Regent Park resident with a small business? Do you offer catering, photography, create handmade goods, or other goods and services? Join the small business directory and get connected to business opportunities in the community. If you have questions, please email csr@tridel.com. Tridel is looking for a social media coordinator. Join Tridel's marketing team. The coordinator will be responsible for leveraging platforms to promote and sell luxury condominiums and use their intuitive sense of brand voice to recognize ways on captivating and resonating with our audiences online.
And finally, BOLT, Women in Construction, $500 scholarship and mentorship, supporting women to advance in their skilled traded careers. Successful applicants receive $500 and are connected to a female mentor from their own or similar construction skills trade. Apply now at supporttoronto.ca scholarships.bolt. And that was all for events and jobs in the community. Hope to see you next week.
And that's all for today's show. My name is Fred and my co-hosts are Kedar, Ryan, Dylan, Jabin, and Victoria. We also like to thank our team of researchers who contributed for this week's show. And from our studios at Focus Media Arts Center, thanks for watching and see you next week.
Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And please follow our social media platforms. For more information, check out our website,